Hello everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 and see how this particular tablet holds up in 2025. Now, the big thing I can definitely tell you about the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 is that this is one of those types of tablets, for the most part, that does a pretty good job at giving you a lot of different things to kind of keep in mind for the most part. Now, this type of tablet I think still is a really good tablet. It stands out very, very well, and it is a really well-built, powerful type of tablet when it comes down to it. But there are some big things to keep in mind here too with this type of tablet as well. So we'll kind of take a look at it throughout this whole entire video. First things first, if you want to go ahead and pick up this tablet or some other tablets that I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of this particular tablet, the Galaxy Tab S8 originally came out back in 2022. So it is showing its age just a little bit, right? It's a little bit of an older type of tablet. There's nothing crazy with that, nothing wrong with that, but it is a little bit of an older styling of tablet, but it's not really, it doesn't really feel that old. I feel like for the most part, Samsung did a really good job with this type of tablet when it first came out, and in a lot of ways, it still feels like a very premium and very good, good type of tablet from that standpoint. On the front side of this tablet, you are getting an 11-inch TFT LCD panel. So this panel from that side, like I said before, it does a really good job at giving you a good type of display that still holds up very well from that standpoint. So I feel like this tablet's display does hold up very, very well. You're also getting, not the biggest amount of bezel around it, but it's not the smallest either. It's a good amount of bezel. You're not really going to think about it too much from that particular side. It's 120 hertz, which is really cool. And when I'm looking at this type of tablet, I would still say it still holds up very well for a majority of people out there. It is a really good type of looking tablet when it kind of comes down to it. Now, you're getting a USB Type-C port on the bottom of this particular tablet, and you're also getting a micro SD card inside of this tablet as well. So I personally do like getting, and having a tablet like this because it is going to be giving you an overall good type of experience. And like I said before, I feel like if you are going to go through and buy a tablet, this thing does do a really good job at giving you a good premium type of capability without it feeling like, it's super outdated. It's, over 3 years old now, but it still is a very good type of tablet when it comes down to it. So in my personal opinion, I think that kind of covers it up there. On the back side, it's just the standard aluminum back, nothing crazy going on here. You are getting your camera setup on this thing too, which we'll talk about in a second. But overall, when I look at this type of tablet, I really do think for the most part, Samsung did a really good job with this type of tablet. I think for sure, if you're going to go through and pick one of these types of tabs up, these things are very much still worth buying. I think, they feel very good in the hand, and I don't feel like there's that much to complain about here from that side when it comes down to it either. So definitely, this thing gets a thumbs up for me from the outside and from the build quality standpoint. I don't even know remember if I mentioned this, but it does have a 120 Hz refresh rate as well, which is another really cool thing going on for this type of tablet when it comes down to it as well. So when it comes down to the price tag, this tablet, it doesn't cost what it used to cost. It's hundreds of dollars cheaper than what it was before. So that is kind of a nice thing to keep in mind there. But keep in mind also, if you're trying to go through and buy a tablet that is going to be giving you kind of, if you want to save some money, this is one of those really good options because you can go through and buy, one of these types of tablets and be able to save a bunch of money from that particular side too, compared to some other types of tabs. So from that side as well, that kind of covers it up there too. Now, on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here as well is that with this type of tablet, you're still also going to be able to go through and you're going to be able to essentially get a tablet that's giving you a pretty good type of camera setup for the most part. It's giving you a 13 megapixel wide angle camera and then a 6 megapixel ultra wide camera. Now you're also going to be able to go through and basically get a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera as well. So within these types of cameras, you're able to go through and get, a really good type of experience. And, they're not great. Well, they're not perfect, but they're still actually pretty good. 4K at 60 frames per second, which is something that's really awesome to have. And I feel like if you're going to go through, like I said before, and pick up some sort of camera, this thing is actually going to be giving you a pretty good, solid experience from that particular side too. So for how old this particular camera is, I feel like this type of camera and experience gives you a really good type of, experience for the most part. And like I said before, I do think if you're going to go through and pick up some sort of a device, this type of phone does give you a good type of experience from that side. And I think that right there is another really big advantage for this type of device as well. I know for me personally, it makes a lot of sense to go and pick up, but maybe it's not the most perfect device of all time. But like I said before, it is one of those really good types of devices that you can go ahead and pick up. And I think it does honestly make a lot of sense from a camera perspective. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now, on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here with the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8 is software updates. Right now with this type of tablet, you are basically getting a tablet it was starting off at Android 12. It is getting 4 major versions of Android, so it must still be kind of supported right now. And it's funny because this is one of those types of tablets. This is like one of the only types of tablets that I still use on an everyday basis. Not an everyday basis, but one of my only Android tablets that I still kind of use sometimes is this one, because it just is laying around and I have a bunch of games on it. And I do think in a lot of ways it does hold up pretty well from that particular standpoint as well. Again, maybe it's not perfect, but I think Samsung did a really good job with this type of phone when it came down to that standpoint. Now, you do also have to remember though, if you're going to go through and pick up this type of tablet, it is going to be a little bit of a different type of experience. Like you're going to be getting a tablet here, which isn't necessarily going to be giving you like an amazingly great type of experience when it comes down to its, software longevity, because it still has like a year or two, but it's not going to be bad either. So just one of those things to keep in mind there. Now, when it comes down to the, performance of this tablet is giving you the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 chipset inside, and it's also going to be giving you 8 to 12 gigabytes of RAM. So from that side in and of itself, that's actually kind of interesting to keep in mind here, because this type of device is not, it's not going to be the cheapest device of all time. It's not going to be anything crazy, but it's still going to be giving you like a pretty good type of performing chipset when it comes down to it from that side. So I definitely do think going through and buying a tablet like this is definitely going to be giving you like a good, solid type of experience. And again, maybe it's not necessarily perfect, but I would imagine that if you're going to go through and if you're going to pick up some sort of a tablet or device, this thing is going to be pretty good when it comes down to it. And I feel like I said before, that in and of itself, it is one of those things to kind of keep in mind that for the most part in and of itself. So this thing still will give you like really good type of performance, really good type of capability. And again, maybe, again, it's not necessarily perfect. I do think for the most part, Samsung did a good job with this type of device. And that's just kind of how I feel about it, from that standpoint. So overall, to kind of sum up this whole entire comparison, what I can definitely tell you with this video, the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8, I think is still it's a very decent type of tablet to keep in mind here, right? This type of tablet is still worth buying. I think it still has a bunch of capability, and it still is one of those types of devices that I would highly recommend buying, right? Maybe it's not necessarily perfect, but for a lot of people out there, this is one of those types of tablets that I would highly recommend picking up because it still is going to be giving you a really good type of experience. So the only tablets I'd recommend more than this are like the Samsung Galaxy Tab S9 or the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10. Those are kind of the only other tablets I possibly would recommend buying. Other than that though, I think with this type of tablet, it holds up very well, it looks very good, and it really is one of those types of tablets that I would highly recommend buying for sure when it comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.